move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines. If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
We're establishing a certain DNA and a culture, and the lumps that come with it are part of it, and we're here for that. So we challenge our team on a weekly basis, and that's never going to change. You know, when we're in, and we're going to be in very tight games, competitive games, and these games come down to details of, you name it, alignment, assignment, eye discipline, communication, right? All those things come into play. Technique, right? A holding penalty can be attributed to being off the ball late, a poor step, poor half position. All of a sudden you got a natural poor reaction, a tug on a guy. Or eye discipline, and sometimes, you know, not seeing or not keeping an intent focus on your particular job can lead to a bad play that ends up, you know, hurting you from a win-loss standpoint. So those are the challenges that we're going to keep throwing on our guys. We want to increase our capacity to take on responsibility and obligation at an elite level. So, and that's what we want to work towards.
The storm is brewing. The warning flag is up. It's time to get ready for Miami Hurricanes football. Welcome to the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show on the SportsTalk305 Network. Live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. When you're looking for the finest energy drink on the planet, you can only get it delivered to your home or office by going to myedgedrink.com. Use our code BIG-O and get 10% off an energy drink that's delicious, smooth, and has zero aftertaste. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
Welcome aboard, baby. It is time to rock and roll. Canes and Va-Tech. 12:30 kickoff at Lane Stadium. Man, it's so good. Good to have a college football Saturday. We're out here at WalkOns in Kendall, so come on out and join us. Like we're going to be out here now for every Canes game out here. You never know. We might be out here for other things too, you know, down the line. 9065 Southwest 162nd Avenue here in Kendall. We got giveaways today. We're going to give away $25 gift certificates to Caneswear in every quarter. All right. And we thank Brett, all the great people out there, Jeff, all the fantastic people at Caneswear for helping us out as always and being proud sponsors of our show right here on the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show live from WalkOns in Kendall. And we're also going to give away a Perdomo hat, lighter, and cigar cutter in every single quarter. By the way, I got them right here. Let me show you. These things are badass, dude. Okay? Little Perdomo cigars, huh? And then when you open it up, and look at that, baby. Look at that. Huh? And it's, by the way, it's a USB charged lighter. So you still put gas in it, but it's actually charged USB. And let me see, how do I do this? Oh, wait a minute. I have to turn it on. Well, either way, I don't want to start turning stuff on. But anyway, so there you go. How about that? So we're going to give away the lighter, the cutter, and then we're going to give away a Perdomo hat, which, by the way, I'm not even wearing my hat. I should be wearing my hat. We're going to be giving away a Perdomo hat with the lighter and the cutter every quarter. Plus, we're going to give away some walk-ons gift certificates, too. So you'll be able to get some free food here at walk-ons, man. It's a beautiful thing. How about that? So we got all the giveaways for you. Sean Stanley, the man, the myth, the legend, who puts everything together on this platform, is rocking and rolling. And, of course, Mike McCoy, my co-host and partner in crime, he is ready to go. Always appreciate it. We got Al, of course, cracking the whip, making sure everything is fine. You know, it's his account, so he's got to make sure. Is everything in order? Everything in order? So, you know, he'll be here cracking the whip throughout the afternoon. So we'll have a little fun. How you feeling, Mike? You feeling all right? Well, wait a minute. I think they got to pot you up. There you go. Now you can try it.
I'm good. Oh, thank you, Sean. How you doing this morning, guys?
I am doing fantastic. Obviously, Sean is always fantastic. We got a loaded show for you. Gabby Uriuta is going to join us at 10:50. So he'll give us all of the recruiting angle. You know how it was last week.
Yes.
Gabby is there, and all the recruits are coming in, and he's talking with recruits and all that good stuff. Although in this case, he's in Lane Stadium, so it won't be so much about recruiting, but he'll give us the recruiting information. But it was really cool last week when Gabby's at Hard Rock, and he's saying hi to recruits and coaches and giving us the skinny on the recruits that are there at the stadium. So we'll get the latest. And Gabby, by the way, now is going to be joining you every week at the Miami Hurricanes Watch. And who knows? He doesn't. I don't think he still knows this, but the Miami Hurricanes Watch might be extended. Maybe next week, not this coming week. Maybe next week it might be extended. So we'll give you the surprises and some of the things that we're going to add to the Miami Hurricanes Watch. That show's just going to get bigger and bigger and better every single week. So we're looking forward to it. So if you're a Canes fan, this is definitely the place you want to be because you're going to get the objective coverage, and we're going to have some fun along the way. Oh, we do have breaking news. It's kind of breaking news, really, right? It's kind of breaking news. I mean, when I say it almost 2 weeks ago, and then it happens now, is it really breaking news? So apparently, Tua Tagovailoa has cleared concussion protocol today, so he'll be ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I don't know, somebody nearly 2 weeks ago told you, hey, he'll miss the Jet game, he'll miss the Vikings game, and he'll come back 24 days later for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know. Somebody might have told you that. I don't know, but whatever. And so he'll be ready. So news-wise, we do have to get that out there that Schefter did report that Tua has cleared concussion protocol and will be ready. And it's kind of what I said this week, that they're doing this week what they did with Teddy to get him out of the way so he's ready for next week. Because if they go through the light workouts next week, then he won't be available for the Pittsburgh game. So now he's available. So that's the breaking news. We've got all of that. All right, Mikey, let's get to this matchup before we get Gabby Uriuta. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention everybody else. Gabby Uriuta is going to join us at 10:50. Andy Bitter, who covers Vatek for The Athletic, will join us at 11:10. And then David Wilson from the Miami Herald will join us at 11:45. So we'll have a lot of fun there, and we've got all angles. Gabby covering recruiting, Andy Bitter giving us the Vautech end, and David Wilson talking, obviously Canes, and he covers the Canes. He covers a lot of things, you know what I mean? But David is like a jack of all trades, but he does such an excellent job whenever he's covering the Canes or he's covering the Panthers or whatever. He really is an excellent writer, does a really good job. So we got all of that going. So, Mike, this is a game that I call a coach's game.
Okay.
Because you have no excuses. You must win this game. Okay? You are way better than this team. Their stats, and I'm sure we'll go over it throughout the next 2 hours here leading up to kickoff. They're bad in so many areas. Okay? And so you've got to take advantage. This is the kind of game that I don't want to see the penalties or the turnovers. In other words, that's the only way you're going to lose this game,
right?
By giving it away. So you've done a better job of tackling than you did last year. You've been more consistent on the offensive line than you have been last year. So today is a coach's game. Your team better be prepared. I don't want to hear that you weren't. I don't want to hear this, that. This is the kind of game that you need to get right and get it quickly and get it done, because you've lost 3 in a row. This would actually be the low point of the season, because believe it or not, Vautech is not even better than Middle Tennessee State.
Oof. That's saying a lot. I mean, listen, you said it perfectly. It's a get-right game, right? On the road, Vautech, I think they're expected a sellout, a full crowd. I'm not sure.
Sure, yeah.
Even though it's homecoming, that's right.
What the hell else is there to do in Blacksburg?
Yeah, that's normally
what is there to do in Blacksburg? Come on. Sorry, Vautech fans, but I mean, gobble gobble.
You mentioned the O-line, and that's the only thing that I'm not concerned about, but something that catches my attention the most because of the 2 injuries that happened on back-to-back plays last week.
Right.
So Jonathan Dennis is going to be maybe in the game. I don't know how much. And Logan Sagapolo, I'm sorry, they came in on back-to-back plays because Ja'Kai Clark and number 70, can't remember his name. He was injured. We all know that Mario doesn't like to release depth charts during the week, so we'll see what that starting lineup looks like now. But that's the only thing, because of all the units on the team, the O-line is the one that needs the most consistency. And they're still on the mend or in the process of getting right, new system, all that good stuff. But that's the thing that I want to see the most, because finally TVD got on a roll last week. Second highest output in terms of passing yards in a Hurricanes game in school history. So I'd hate for something like that to be a step in the wrong direction for him. Although I do think Logan Sagapolo should have been starting since day one. That's the transfer from Oregon. A lot of people think that the other transfer from Oregon, Jonathan Dennis, hailing from South Day Senior High School, that he should have maybe gotten some reps. But I like Ja'Kai Clark at the center position. That's the only thing I'm kind of worried about. I'm expecting to see a lot of Colby Young. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Expecting to see a lot of him.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I heard Mario Cristobal during the speaking to Joe Sagaki earlier in the week, saying that he had a one-on-one with Brashard Smith, and it's time. Right? There's no more BS. Like, let's do this, right? Romello Brinson has been practicing at every receiver position for a while. So it's time to see the fruits of the labor, man. This is a perfect game to do that. 1-on-1 in the ACC if things go the right way. And you have to start fast. That's the key, because Miami's playing from behind. And you can't do that with a team like this.
And this one, come on, man. There's no way you can do that in this game.
No.
This is the game where you've got to come in and you've got to take advantage of what you're facing right now, because you're better than they are.
Right.
And you've got to come in, sharp, dude. This is the kind of game that you better sell out completely, because if you don't win this game, oh my God.
It's not going to be looking. That's 0-2 in the ACC. You can pretty much write off the Coastal at that point because you're going to need UNC to lose 3 ACC games, right? And if I'm not mistaken, their record in the ACC, I'll pull that up in a moment. But right now, 2-4 are the Hokies. They're 5th in the ACC Coastal. I'm sorry, in the ACC period, and in the Coastal, in the division itself. So look, this is a team that's entering the season worse condition than Miami, and there was a little. I don't know if the coaching staff is using this, maybe not knowing their makeup, but when Virginia Tech's coach was hired in the offseason, he had a little soundbite, and it went kind of viral for Hurricanes fans, and he took a little dig. They asked him, what was his highlight during his playing days, and he said when we kicked Miami's ass 13-10 in '95. I guess they're not math majors up in Blacksburg, but that's what he said. And those were during the the probation years and everything like that. So make that what you may.
That's the highlight for a lot of players that have been able to win against the Canes.
I guess
that's their highlight, and that's kind of been. But that's the beauty of being a great team.
Right.
When you're a great program or Alabama, whatever, and any team that beats you, that's going to live forever.
You're right.
For those players. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's something that should be taken personal, but it's something that the players could use as a little ammo if they really wanted to, but it really has nothing to do with them. It's just a personal accomplishment that is, just one of those. I don't have a real problem with that because I can understand. Like I was talking about this yesterday, I think on the show, right? Somebody brought up Bert Sugar, who's one of the great boxing color guys ever, and I had the pleasure of going for HBO for many years to Vegas to cover matches, and I used to be able to hang out with Bert Sugar. And so like to learn boxing from that guy who is a historian, those are moments for me in my business that are just like what he feels. Those are victories, being able to, I hosted Dan Marino's retirement at the stadium on the station, that stuff like that. That's the stuff that resonates with me forever. So I can relate to that because I think we all have our moments where we really appreciate what we're doing, So, it's just one of those things. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just going to have a problem if they lose today.
Listen, we're all going to
I'm a big Mario guy, but there is no defense if you lose this game. And so to me, that's the only thing I'm worried about today. Today, you better win this game because if you lose this game.
No.
Oh, my God.
Well, let me ask you this before Gabby comes on really quick in a few minutes. Does it matter how Miami wins if they win this game? If they win going away 3 touchdowns or if they win really ugly by 1 point, does it matter at this point?
It matters to a certain extent. I'd like because we're talking about consistency, right? So I don't want you to go play a sloppy ass game where you just edged a really bad team at the end of the game because it'll be a win and you'll go, yeah, man, but wow, they didn't play well. It was ugly. They won. It's one of those wins you won't feel good about. Yeah. I want to feel good. So if Kobe Young is going to show us something, show me something, dude. If you're going to pound the ball with whoever you're going to pound the ball with, then do it. Josh Gaddis, you want to be more of a run team? Well, maybe this kind of game you can work on some of that if you want. But keep Tyler Van Dyke also comfortable doing what you did last week, man. I mean, what were the numbers? 496 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, on a 73.6% completion percentage, dude. So keep him in his groove, but I want to see good football being played today.
Clean football.
Yeah. So it is kind of important to me. I get it if you play Clemson and they make you look ugly. And if you win ugly, then I can handle that.
Right.
I can't handle that much winning really ugly against a really bad team.
The other thing that is going to be very important to myself, or should be everyone watching the game, every Canes fan, because it was working, Miami pretty much abandoned the run last week and they went with the pass. Hence, Tyler throwing like 57 times, I think it was.
Right.
So I would like to see a lot more balance because you're not going to win anything being a one-sided team, a one-dimensional team, predictable team.
Amen.
You know, and so I get it. If it's broke, don't fix it. But Miami needs to be firing on all cylinders. And I think the most important thing is starting fast. This team doesn't know what it's like to play ahead unless it's BC or Bethune-Cookman, which doesn't count.
Right.
Southern Miss, which doesn't count. And you didn't get ahead against Middle Tennessee State. So starting fast is very important. Get off the field on third downs. I feel like the keys to the game are the same every week, and I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't get off the field on third downs.
Right.
The stupid penalties, red zone inefficiency. So this is it. This is time.
That's been painful. The red zone stuff has been absolutely painful. All right. Let's go to a man that is always well connected and always ready to deliver all kinds of great information. Gabby Uriuta, of course, from 24/7 Sports and, of course, 24/7 Canes too, baby. Gabby, how you doing, my friend? You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. Ready for some, enjoying some college game day, ready for some Canes football and a great slate of Saturday college football, man. I mean, these are the types of days that I live for,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And we got a lot of good games today, not just, obviously the game we care about in this one with Vatech and the University of Miami. All right, let's first go back to last week. After the loss, we kind of talked about it, Mike and myself, that maybe this is the kind of loss that really wasn't going to hurt them in the recruiting trail. So you're the man when it comes to all of that. Was that the case this week? Because, unfortunately, we gotta deal with this fair weatheredness in this whole thing that these kids, man, they change their minds like our wives. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, I think that this is a process, and I was telling this to Mike, earlier in the week. Like, I do think that there's sort of just this is Mario Cristobal's first class, right? I think that there's an understanding that these kids, I don't think they expected Miami to win 12 games or win a national title or win the ACC or anything like that. I think that this is Mario Cristobal's first group of guys, and they're sort of buying into the program, right? Like they are buying into what Mario Cristobal and Miami are going to be in the future. And I think that they know that and they understand that they're a key part of what they want to do here and a part of the rebuild of, again, I want to call it a rebuild. Obviously, I mean, that's a nasty word and people don't want to hear it. There's talent on the roster. They should be winning some of these games. I mean, no excuses for that. But ultimately, if the goal is to compete for some of the things I mentioned, ACC championships, national championships, this roster is not talented enough to do those types of things. So, I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. So I think a lot of these guys believe that they can be a part of the process of building that roster towards a national title contender, towards a legitimate year in, year out ACC title contender. So, I do think that, that's not necessarily scaring guys away. I think that when they bought into the program, they bought into what this program looks 2-3 years down the line, right? So, maybe there's some kids that are uncommitted that, these losses could maybe, influence some things. But I think overall, I think a lot of kids are looking at Miami, seeing the situation here and looking at like, hey, look, this might be a place where I can come in and compete early or get a chance to get on the field and make something happen, help these guys out. So, I don't think it's going to hurt them too much. Obviously, you want them to turn the corner. You want them to kind of get this thing going, move off of this 3-game skid against Virginia Tech on the road, homecoming, going to be a sold-out Lane Stadium, going to be rocking. I mean, one of the greatest environments in college football. Get a win, Saturday afternoon. That transitions into Duke and Virginia, which are 2 winnable games. You get that ball rolling downhill, and I think that they're going to get some recruiting momentum going along with that.
Great point. And I mean, like you said, to getting on a roll today would be super important and super helpful because you win 3 in a row. All of a sudden, FSU comes into town. That's a big game. It's at home at Miami. That's homecoming for Miami. And so thank you, Sean. Forgot I had a good question before I started ranting about that. And I completely forgot. But it was recruiting wise. And okay, at what point, because let's say Miami's looking good. I know as bad as this sounds, let's say Miami looks good in losses in games that they should win. At what point do you think, even though they did sign up for the long haul, at what point do you think that it's like, okay, like, I don't know about this. We're looking good. We're close. And yes, coach told me this is he needs me here. I was looking at the interview with Ikeem Williams after his game yesterday, and they asked them, "Hey, what are the coaches telling you?" And they're saying, "We need you to stay home because we need you. We need a big time receiver." So, at what point do you think that changes for these kids?
Yeah, I mean, changes negatively or positively. Like, like if it's negatively, I mean, I think if they kind of go on a couple more, if they, they look bad again today. They maybe struggle with Duke, Virginia, maybe drop one of those. I mean, you lose a big game to Florida State. I mean, there's a lot of ways that this can end up going poorly, right? I mean, yes, they probably, they kind of look pretty in a loss. Again, not something people want to hear. An inexcusable loss. I think that they were the better team against North Carolina, but you can't keep stacking that. I mean, you start putting together those performances. I think those questions start to kind of come up. Okay, I'm buying this vision, but what are the results going to be in year 2 and year 3? Yeah, I like what you're saying. Maybe I believe what you're saying, but it feels like you guys are the more talented teams on these Saturdays, and you're not able to kind of come out on the other end of it, in the win column, right? So I think if you start to lose to some of these inferior teams, you look ugly against Florida State. I mean, I think that's the point where you kind of start looking around and maybe start hitting that big red panic button, like, okay, we need to figure something out. We need to figure something out fast because this is not going well. Conversely, I think that, if you kind of start to stack together these wins, you're able to, go on a 3-game winning streak, host Florida State at home, win that game. I think at that point, you're like, hey, look, Mike, yeah, maybe we had our struggles, but Mike Norvell in year 3, we were able to handle that. This is what the future of Miami looks like. Even despite what they've been able to build over the past few years, we're still able to beat them in year 1, in a year where we're still trying to figure out who we are, what we're about. And, I think that just sort of escalates them even further, up in terms of, what recruits see and how they value the program and really the buy-in, right? Like the tangible, like this is what we're doing to show you guys that we're headed the right direction. So absolutely opportunity in front of them to get this thing rolling.
I remember what I was going to ask.
Go ahead, Gabby.
I remember what I was going to ask you. So Jackson Carver, one of the tight end commits, was a guest on a Sebastian Lane show a couple weeks ago, and he was listening to the show. I think it was last week, and that's a recruiting show. They were talking about possible decommitments. He chatted during the show saying nobody's decommitting. And then it was highlighted, it was screenshotted, and it was kind of, whatever. And I mean, I think that means a lot. It's a big deal because it shows kind of the camaraderie that this class has. And I know that you were saying that the receiver from Edison, I'm forgetting what his name, he's kind of like
Joseph.
He's kind of like the recruiting ambassador, and maybe Williams is one of those guys too. But seeing Jackson Carver do that, and he's an Indiana guy, I think that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that this is a really tight-knit group. I mean, I don't see the core group of these guys, like even if it didn't go well, falling completely apart. Maybe there's a couple guys that decide to look somewhere else. But I mean, this is a group that wants to be a part of this program. Again, these guys understand what this Miami Hurricanes football program can be, and what these guys are sort of selling, these kids on the program. I mean, again, this is not about 2022. This is about 2024. And, that's why these kids are deciding to be a part of this program. Again, it's not like, these kids aren't here now. They can't really do much to help them. I think it's an easy spin for Mario Cristobal. Like, look, I didn't recruit any of these guys, like these are like, 3 kids on this 3 to 5, maybe like 5, 6 kids on the roster are kids that Mario Cristobal handpicked that was able to bring on. I mean, Nigel Kelly, Cyrus Moss, Trevante Citizen, Inez Cooper. I mean, those are really Jaleel Skinner. I mean, that's really the extent of the Mario Cristobal guys on this roster. And then obviously the transfer portal dudes, but you need to build through high school recruiting. So, I think these kids are going to stick around, man. I mean, I think there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot to be excited about. Mario Cristobal said it himself earlier this week. I mean, they took over at Oregon when he was 4-8. 2 years later, they were a top 5 team and winning the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's not always, roses and butterflies from the jump. David Lake, who works with me at Inside the U, wrote an article everyone can check out for free. Basically the amount of time it takes to build a championship level roster. He didn't include coaches that were elevated. So Ryan Day doesn't count. Lincoln Riley doesn't count at Oklahoma. These guys that come in, I mean, that first year is almost never, very pretty. I mean, it's just not. It's not glamorous all the time. But year 2, year 3, you tend to see those things pick up quickly. So I think, give him 365 days of his program, his culture. I think we're going to start seeing some improvements, in 2023 and then even more so in 2024. So easy for these guys to look at that and buy in and want to be a part of it.
Gabby, I may be getting ahead of myself now, okay? Because hearing Mike's question and about the recruits saying nobody's decommitting, one of the issues that I've seen with the Canes over the years is that it's not so much the talent, it's the character.
Yeah.
And so when you see kids that are, screwing around and dancing around behind Manny Diaz while they're losing, or guys that aren't necessarily committed and aren't playing hard every week, or that they feel entitled, that's been also a disease that has been in the University of Miami football program for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
Some of these kids have put on a helmet and all of a sudden they think they're Edgerrin James and they're Ken Dorsey, and yet they didn't pay any of the dues. And so they act like that. They act with this entitledness and all that. So maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it, but the Canes aren't really playing well. They don't necessarily look good. But if that class is holding hard right now, then maybe also Mario is targeting character also.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I look at the kid I cover in the Dolphins locker room, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's are you going to get more Javon Hollins? Then I understand the direction you're also going. So you get close to these guys, you get close to the coaches. Are you noticing a difference in the character of the athlete that they're trying to recruit now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a huge part of this evaluation process with these guys, right? I mean, they're not only trying to find, these star players and, is everyone built with the Javon Holland, alpha mentality? No, but I mean, you're finding enough guys at some, primary positions that kind of are. I mean, Francis Malagoa, I mean, alpha all the way. I mean, just absolutely, I think he's a potential first round, offensive tackle. And I mean, he knows he's the best player on the field. He's got that humble confidence, but he's also the kind of like the guy that's going to rally the troops and, get everyone on board. When I went up to Img Academy for that media day, I mean, everyone that was talking, I mean, he made sure they were throwing on a Miami hat and doing something, throwing up the U at his teammates. Like, I mean, those are the types of guys. I mean, it's that sort of, again, I think that's the mentality that they need to approach at multiple positions. It's that next level. It's that next gear. It's not something that you can find, on a testing sheet. It's not something you can measure. It's something that is just kind of inside of you. It's kind of innate. And, I do think that they are absolutely identifying some of those traits, finding guys that have those traits, because those are the guys that are going to get the locker room right. Those are the guys that are not going to be okay with losing. Those are going to be the guys that are going to uphold the standard that Mario Cristobal sort of sets for the program, and then create a new player-led standard, right? I mean, how much this was a player-led program. You saw it in its prime. I mean, you saw how, these guys were getting together.
Yeah, I'm the only old fart in the group. Go
no,
ahead.
I'm just saying, Mike, you might
Go
know too.
ahead.
I'm just
You
saying,
two
like,
youngins, and I'm the you're the old fart. You saw them win back in the day. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm just saying it's different, man. These guys need to be built different, and I do think that that's something that this roster is sort of lacking. And I'm not questioning character or questioning how much people care, but I do think that there needs to be some more of that. There needs to be an influx of just guys that have that mentality, that drive. And it comes internally. It's Mario Cristobal talks about self-starters, guys that don't need a rah-rah speech to get going, that don't need to be listening to their favorite song to get hyped up before a game. They need guys that just kind of like, all right, it's time to play football. It's time to roll. And I do think the more that they get those types of guys into the program, I think that's when you're going to start seeing the culture shift naturally. I think you're going to be able to pinpoint, when this happens, because it's going to be so obvious, because things are just going to be so different, and you're going to see that from the players.
Right, before you ask him anything, Mike, I just want you to know that Gabby, Sean, are you ready for a road trip? He just gave me an idea. See, look, there's Sean's like, oh my God. There he goes.
What now?
Sean's what now? You said Img Academy Media Day.
Yeah.
I think that's a place where our platform needs to go.
Listen.
When is that? When is that media day? When do they do that every year?
I mean, it was before I guess it was sometime early fall. Like, it was before their season started. Okay. It was a few of us there. It was me. It was my colleagues David Lake and Andrew Ivins, a couple guys from a couple other networks. It was a pretty small deal, You would think with 1 million Power 5 athletes walking around, it would have been a huge deal. But getting to Bradenton, Florida
That's
isn't
my point.
always the easiest.
Wondering, what do you think, Gabby? Does it look like we can set up our shop with an Ethernet line? And
oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, there was more than enough space. I mean, they had just a bunch of guys taking photos with their uniforms and stuff like that. I mean, it was just kind of everyone hanging out.
You know, if we're gonna go to the Combine and we're gonna go to the Senior Bowl and we're gonna go to the East West Shrine game and all that on the NFL side, well, on the college side, that's basically our Combine right there.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, how do you not want to go to the IMG Academy? You know, Mario's going to want to go after several of those players every year. I got to, you know what? I need you to get me the media relations number.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah, it's no problem.
I'm on top of that. We're going there next year, bro. Next year, Mike, myself, and Sean will go up there for a couple days and get that done and all that, that good stuff. Sean, you can go to Busch Gardens after. You know, it's all right. You know, it's
a little far, but yeah,
it's all good. It's all good.
They have a great Philly cheesesteak spot, so I mean, that's the highlight of Bradenton. Me and David are just like, all right, we're gonna go to Philly.
That's it. There you go. You just said food. You've got Sean. He's hooked. No Philly cheesesteak. No Philly cheesesteak. No.
Wow.
Why? What do you have against Philly cheesesteaks? Oh, okay. He says, wait a minute. I owe you a trip to Burns. So that's it. So we'll go to IMG, and I'm treating him to Burns. I'm treating you to Burns too, by the way.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So all right. So yeah, I'll take the boys to Burns, and we'll do the IMG Academy. All right. Go ahead, Mikey. Enough of my silliness.
No, it was just kind of piggybacking on the whole theme of character. And
I mean, if we're going to build a platform that is going to serve the South Florida sports community, this
got to serve the South
kind
Florida
of stuff we
got
to do, bro.
Listen, I don't blame you.
So Al, let's go, bro. Sell the trip to IMG Academy next year. Okay. He loves that. He loves the recruiting because his son is also getting recruited. So go ahead. Yes.
No, like I said, just piggybacking on that thought. And this was talked about, or that was talked about during Mario's opening press conference, and how he was saying the people that need to be in this program need to be in love with football, period. Because it all starts from the top, and that's how it is with Mario. He talked about, jogging over from Columbus Senior High School after school finished to go watch a practice at Green Tree. And if football's not a thing for him, it's a vocation. It's not a job. He loves to do it, and he wants to be around people. The program needs players and coaches that love football, that will just roll up their sleeves and play in an empty parking lot, all day and all night. And until that locker room is littered with that same mentality, then talent is not going to be it. We've seen talent on top of talent being signed in classes since that number one class in 2008, pretty much, where all those Northwestern kids came. I mean, Randy Shannon signed all those Northwestern Bulls, and Manny didn't leave the cupboard bare, but there's just a stench of some type of mentality, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a lack of work ethic, a lack of trust, or just too much me, and that can't be.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not going to be here calling people out on whatever it is that they are. But again, it just needs to be more of it, right? Whatever they have, they just need a lot more of it. They need a lot of, again, just some of these self-starters that are just kind of going to be in love with the game. And again, that's why you go out and get a Mario Cristobal. I mean, if there's anything that man's going to do, it's going to be recruit. I mean, he kind of lives it and breathes it. It's just the way he sort of operates. I mean, we have someone on our 24/7 Sports Network that worked on his in his recruiting department at Oregon, and it's a borderline obsession, with the recruiting stuff. And he is gonna make sure, when the clock's winding down, I mean, he's good for one or two surprises at the buzzer, right? That he's gonna land Miami a guy or two that maybe no one was expecting them to get, because that's the type of dude that he is. That's the type of closer he is. So, I think the quality talent, those types of guys that are buying into the program, I think they're going to start coming. They're going to start trickling in bunches. And, I think it's going to get right, man. I think it's just going to take, time. And obviously it didn't happen as quickly as everyone wanted it to. I think you hope that there was enough currently to kind of get it done. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I think there's reasons for the way that it's gone, but I'm optimistic about the direction of the program and the way where things are headed.
Gabby, tell the folks out there, what are you working on 247 Sports so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah. You can definitely check out all my stuff at InsideDU.com, 24/7 Sports, kind of constantly doing recruiting stuff. That's my thing. I'm all about the recruiting. So if you're into those types of things, I don't think that there's a better place on planet Earth to find Miami recruiting coverage than with us. So, definitely, hit us up, follow me on Twitter at Gabby Urrutia 247, and, look forward to connecting with you all.
Gabby, you're the best, my brother. Appreciate
Absolutely,
you
guys.
as always,
Yep.
man. Make sure you follow him at Gabby Urrutia 247, and make sure you keep up with everything he's doing. Gabby, we will catch up with you on Tuesday night, my friend. Thank you.
Sounds good. Catch you guys later.
You got it. You can catch Gabby at Miami Hurricanes Watch on Tuesday night with Mike McCoy in the 8 o'clock hour. All right, let's take a quick break. Give us a minute. And Andy Bitter is going to join us, and he covers Virginia Tech for The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Andy Bitter TV. We will talk to Andy in 60 seconds right here on the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show live from WalkOns in Kendall.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. The storm is brewing. The warning flag is up. It's time to get ready for Miami Hurricanes football. Welcome to the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show on the Sports Talk 305 Network. Live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. When you're looking for the finest energy drink on the planet, you can only get it delivered to your home or office by going to myedgedrink.com. Use our code Big O and get 10% off an energy drink that's delicious, smooth, and has zero aftertaste. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
From WalkOns in Kendall, 90th and 162nd right here in Kendall Drive. Come on out here, man. We got Perdomo cigar giveaways. We're going to give away every quarter a lighter and a cutter, which is a $60 value, and a hat also. We're going to be giving away gift certificates from Caneswear every quarter. We're going to be giving away WalkOns stuff also every quarter and gift certificates. We got it all, baby. So come on out here and join us. Andy Bitter is ready to join us. He covers Virginia Tech for The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Andy Bitter TV. Andy, how the mighty have fallen, my friend. This game used to be a marquee game, and man, these are two programs trying to find their footing once again. How's it going over there in Blacksburg as they try to recover from the world of Beamer?
Pretty rough. I think you guys probably know how it's going there in Miami so far. I think it's a pretty similar story at Virginia Tech. New coach. Things have not exactly clicked yet. Obviously, they're on a 3-game losing streak, just like the Hurricanes are. And I think the coaching staff is trying to preach patience. And that's not something that you hear a lot of in Blacksburg. They haven't been a very patient program and, haven't had to wait a while for good things to happen for them. So I think it's a struggle a little bit right now, but, that's just where the program is talent-wise. And it's not going to be a quick fix. They're not going to turn this thing around overnight.
Andy, when we talk about Blacksburg and we talk about Virginia Tech, when certain coaches go to programs that are not really known and then they lift those programs to levels they've never been and then they leave, it's hard for that next person to kind of maintain it. Now, the good thing for Virginia Tech is that they have the history of success. So how much do you think that will help the new staff in trying to get back that magic that Frank Beamer had for so many years and things were so good over there in Blacksburg?
Yeah, I think it can help a little bit. I mean, Virginia Tech is a name brand program, certainly within the state here. I think my concern would be, has college football changed from the way that Frank Beamer won back in the day? Has recruiting changed a lot since he could find these, overlooked and undervalued guys down in the 757 and develop them into, great players at Virginia Tech? It's tough to find those diamonds in the rough now. Everybody knows about everybody else with Huddle out there. Virginia Tech doesn't have that same grip on the state that it used to have. NIL is a huge issue in sports these days, and it's money talks. There's not a lot of it at Virginia Tech relative to some of these other schools. So, there's a blueprint that they had before, but I wonder if the game has changed so much that you're not going to be able to win with that same blueprint. Now, they're trying to do it on the field very similar. And Brent Pry wants to play great defense. And, they want to do enough on offense and play, special teams the way that Frank Beamer did back in the day. But off the field, I feel like money is a lot bigger thing than it used to be, especially when Frank really had this thing rolling here. And that's something that Virginia Tech's going to have to figure a way to get around, because it's not the deepest pocket at school. It doesn't have boosters just throwing money at every single thing here. So
you don't have a John Ruiz there? You don't have a John Ruiz hanging out in Blacksburg?
No, there's nobody like that. Certainly nobody publicly like that, just throwing money around like in that way. So I think that's a real challenge, because Brent Pry can talk about relationships and recruiting, and we're in every Virginia high school, and we're going to talk to all the janitor and all this stuff that he has said. But if you're offering, I know you can't offer as an inducement at recruiting. If your offer is 1/10 of what somebody else is coming in, which direction do you think they're going to go? So that's something that he's going to have to figure out and sort out as he goes on this journey here at Virginia Tech.
Thanks for joining the pregame, Andy. I wanted to ask you about identity, because maybe going into the Texas A&M game, Miami thought they found one offensively at least, and that was on the ground, and that seems to have gone left. So heading into the game, into asking you about areas in which Virginia Tech feels good about winning this game, what's their identity? What do they seem to lean on?
I think they'd like their identity to be a hard-nosed defense and run the ball and be a physical team, sort of in the molds of what those great Virginia Tech teams were in the past. And, probably when Penn State was at its best, that's what they were when Brent Pry was a really good defensive coordinator there. I don't know if they have the personnel for that right now, and I don't know if they have the players for it. The defense looked good against subpar competition earlier this year, has really come back to earth these last couple of weeks. I mean, Israel Abanikanda ran for 320 yards on them last week, which is unbelievable.
He just scored again. He just scored again.
I mean, he had 6 touchdowns. By the end, he would touch it. He'd be untouched down the field. It'd be an 80-yard touchdown. I mean, that's certainly not what this team wanted to be identity-wise. And then offensively, I just don't think they have the guys in the trenches to be able to, be this hard-nosed running team. We're going to, run it down your throats, come hell or high water. They just don't have the personnel for that. So, again, this goes back to it's going to take time. They're going to have to get guys in here that they can develop and build that mentality around and really play that kind of ball.
Dax Holyfield is a guy that I really like. Is he in that mold of the type of player you're talking about defensively for Virginia Tech that could maybe lend some education to the younger guys?
Yeah, I think so. And you guys have heard about him for a while. He feels like a 12th-year senior at Virginia Tech. He's been playing for so long. He's got that mentality, and I think he has bought into what the coaches are trying to do here. There just aren't enough guys like that on this defense. And, Dax has some physical limitations. He's not the fastest guy, but he's smart. He's in the right place, and he's got heart, and he's got effort and leadership and all these things. They just don't have guys like that 1 to 11 on this defense. So that goes back to getting people in place that, they trust. And, there's some guys they've been slotting in, trying to fill some spots. The will linebacker spot's been a problem the last couple of weeks. Defensive ends haven't really played that well in terms of pressure. There's just some holes in this defense that it's not like, I used to say there's no free agency in college football. There kind of is now. There's not in-season free agency. You can't just go pick up somebody and fill that spot. I think that's sort of where they're feeling the pinch right now.
We're talking with Andy Bitter, by the way, Virginia Tech writer for The Athletic. You can follow him on Twitter at Andy Bitter TV. And Andy, Grant Wells has got about 7 interceptions already this season. The passing game hasn't been necessarily lighting it up overall, but Miami's secondary hasn't been that good, although they did show some signs of life. I would call some signs of life from the secondary, especially in the second half last week against North Carolina, but they have had the tendency of making some quarterbacks look a little better than what they are. What are you seeing in the Virginia Tech passing game versus Miami's secondary going into this matchup?
Well, I think the big thing, and it goes beyond just how Wells plays, is they need some guys who can create separation and get open down the field. And really, it's just Caleb Smith that can do that consistently. He had a big game at Pitt last week, 9 catches for 152 yards, career high for him there. But other receivers, Dawan Lofton had a big touchdown catch last week. He's been up and down this year. Jaden Blue is a Temple transfer. He hasn't really found his groove yet. Stephen Gusnell is a guy who got a head injury against UNC. He hasn't played since. I don't expect him to play today. There's just sort of a lack of weapons in the passing game to make, to hurt an opposing defense. So, Wells has been okay. He's been turnover prone. He had 4 picks in the ODU game in the opener. That makes his stats look a little worse. I know he threw one on a Hail Mary before halftime last week, so I don't even really count that one. But, he needs guys to throw to and guys to get open. They have a freshman tight end, Daquan Wright, who's come on these last couple of weeks. I think he can do some stuff in the slot. And maybe that can help that receiving group progress a little bit. But it's just not a group that has anybody that scares you outside of Caleb Smith. And if you only have one guy that does that, then you just double them and they're problem solved. You're not going to be able to throw the ball downfield very much. So they need some other guys to step up.
It's scary how in which the way you're describing the Hokies overall is like you could come do our pregame right here and talk about the Canes and fit in just the same because it's the same problems. Miami doesn't seem to have that consistent receiver at the moment. Hopefully Kobe Young, who flashed late in last week's game, is an answer for Miami today. But can you talk about how this team responds and, when they're down or obviously you want to play ahead all the time. Miami hasn't had the luxury of doing that. And so last week they kind of resorted to they did resort to throwing the ball 57 times because it's what was working against UNC's defense. They kind of abandoned run. They want to be balanced. It didn't happen last week. But is this offense more of we'll see how it's going. If it ain't broke, don't fix it? Or you're going to try to be balanced no matter what?
I think this offense will do whatever it can to get any kind of success. I mean, against West Virginia, they couldn't do anything, even when they fell behind. Against North Carolina, they couldn't do anything, even they were behind by 30 points. Last week was really the first time they showed any kind of pulse as an offense, and any sort of ability to come back in a game. They were up early 16-7, then they fell behind by a couple touchdowns. They came back, and they were within 31-29 of that game. Part of that was on a block punt that they got returned for a touchdown. So I don't really know if this offense has like a gear or a direction they go to. They haven't been good in any facet this year or consistent in any facet. I think, last week they got Malachi Thomas back at running back. That was a big deal. He's a guy that can, get extra yards when there's not a huge hole there, which there have not been a lot of holes in the running game to run through this year. And I think that helped the passing game. So maybe that's the key is having a guy like that back, and that brings some balance to this offense. But, there's not really any place they turn to when they're behind to try to come back in these games, because most of the time, once they've gotten behind, they haven't come back at all.
Andy, is Blacksburg still intimidating, or is it more about the team? Because, it's always funny when the Canes left the Orange Bowl and the Dolphins left the Orange Bowl, and a lot of people tell me all the time, well, Hard Rock Stadium doesn't have the same home field advantage. And I said, well, yeah, Don Shula, Dan Marino aren't around anymore, and, the Canes aren't winning titles anymore. So that helped the Orange Bowl become really loud. And I know that it was a big aluminum building that when you stomped on it and all that, and Hard Rock's a concrete building, but, it doesn't matter. If your team is rocking, the place will be rocking. That's the way I look at it. So how do we view Blacksburg nowadays?
Yeah, I always love that. It's like, is this home field advantage strong anymore? It's like, well, is Sean Taylor roaming the field anymore? Is, Willis McGahee out there? All these really great players. Same thing with Virginia Tech. It's like, right. This was an intimidating building when Corey Moore had 17 sacks in a season. It's less so when your leading defensive end has 4.5 during the season. So, Blacksburg's the same kind of atmosphere it's always been. It's a sellout for today's game, which I was surprised about with the early start and two not very good teams going up against each other. But it's like anything. This is a much more intimidating place when the players you're going up against are better. And when, you had this ferocious defense and punt blockers where every punt was an adventure for the opposing team here. And then when you do get a punt off, Michael Vick's on the other side, you're like, oh, what are you going to do now? That's intimidating. And they don't have that situation right now. So it feels a lot less intimidating, even though it's the same thing. But, I feel like there are so many parallels between these two programs that were these once proud programs that were, coming into the ACC from the Big East after all this success. And it's sort of lost in the wilderness right now.
Yeah, it's tough.
Last question, at least for me, I'm not sure if O has, but weather-wise, what's the weather like today? Because I didn't have a chance to look at it. Is this something that's going to affect either offense or defense?
It is a picture-perfect day for football today. Walking in, I didn't even need a jacket coming in here. It's going to be sunny. Nice. Doesn't look like any wind. Perfect fall afternoon for football.
I love it. What's the prediction, Andy? What's going to happen today?
I'm sort of in the boat where I have to see Virginia Tech win a game before I pick them to win a game again. So I have Miami 30-20. And I know a lot of Hurricanes fans have been like, you're out of your mind. You haven't seen this team play. I'm like, I don't think you've seen Virginia Tech play, because they've made, West Virginia came in 1-2 and looked pretty good. North Carolina came in having lost to Notre Dame and looked pretty bad. They looked dominant. Pitt had just lost to Georgia Tech, and then a guy runs for 320 yards. So, Virginia Tech is kind of good for what ails you right now. And I think even if Miami's struggling a little bit coming into this game, I do like the Hurricanes' passing game and the talent that they have to win this one.
Andy, you do great work. I appreciate you taking some time here. Follow him on Twitter at Andy Bitter TV, and you can catch his work there at The Athletic. Andy, enjoy the game, my friend. Thank you for the time.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You got it. There you go. Andy Bitter, baby. All right. Writer for The Athletic. You like that? You lit up when I said go over to Bradenton and go do the show there, right? I think it's a great idea.
Listen, you get a chance to talk to the guys that want to come to Miami, that did sign with Miami, and you get to talk to them before they get in the building and see them up front. There's nothing better than the eye test.
I think it's pretty cool. I think so. I know Al loves that stuff. He wants us to do more recruiting and stuff like that on the platform. So, but I that's not my expertise. So I lean more to you and Gabby and guys like that. But I think personally, I think a lot of people would be interested if we did a show
100%.
at Img Academy.
100%.
I think that would be absolutely a beast of a show. And you could get it sponsored. There you go. Talk to Al Caballero, by the way. All right. Make sure you call him on our business line at 786-754-4664 if you want to be a part of our platform. All right. Give us a minute. We're going to take two minutes here. Get ready for hour number 2. David Wilson from the Miami Herald will join us at 11:45. So we'll get the Canes side of all of this. So we gave you a little recruiting. We gave you the Virginia Tech side. We're going to give you the UM side. And then obviously you'll get our opinions down the stretch, and we'll tell you what we think about the game and what's going to happen today. We are out here at WalkOns in Kendall. So come on out here, folks. Join us. We've got a bunch of giveaways going on all game long. So we'll be giving away a Perdomo cutter and lighter and hat every quarter. We'll be giving away a Caneswear gift certificate so you can get some stuff at Caneswear. And of course, we're out here at 9065 Southwest 162nd Avenue in Kendall. It's really easy to get to, right off the turnpike in Kendall Drive. You go west, you're here in a couple of minutes. And this is a ginormous, beautiful bar out here at WalkOns in Kendall. So come on out and join us, man. We'll be out here, and we'll be out here every week with giveaways. And hopefully next week we'll have Edge Energy Drink taste testing and all that. So we'll have a lovely lady from Edge Energy Drink. And I'm told, actually, we're going to have another beer tasting next week. Joe told me this. So not only all the stuff we're going to bring, but some other stuff, too, at the same time. All right, quick break. Sean Stanley masters this program and the entire platform, and he does it in a masterful way. That's why he masters the whole thing, because he's masterful. Kind of goes together. That's what it's all about. Mike McCoy, Big O with you. It is the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show live from WalkOns in Kendall.
You're listening to Miami Hurricanes coverage live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall on the SportsTalk305 Network. This is the MyEdgeDrink.com Miami Hurricanes pregame show with Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
Red Recover now offers a simple-to-use, professional-grade light therapy device designed to help your dog heal and live a healthier life. Red Recover emits red and infrared light therapy based on the same science that NASA developed, all in a soft, flexible housing pad powered by a convenient, rechargeable lithium-ion battery. Give your dog the same therapy that many veterinarians use today, but at a fraction of the cost. Pads are available in 3 sizes and come with attachment straps, clips, and an easy-to-use manual. Red Recover can help your dog with arthritic conditions, muscle soreness, intervertebral disc disease, ACL rehabilitation, performance, aging, and general health and happiness. You simply place the pad over the desired area and allow our proprietary Tri-Light therapeutic wrap to penetrate deep into the tissue, where a number of healing parameters will be stimulated. When starting treatment, apply for 10 to 15 minutes daily and lessen the application time as needed for best results. Say yes to science and give your dog the care it deserves with Red Recover.
Why is it that you get locked out in the worst moments of your life?
Where are my car keys? Man, I can't find my house keys.
In those frustrating moments, you need a locksmith you can count on. A. Lenny Locksmiths in South Florida, from Miami to Port St. Lucie. In Central Florida, A. Lenny locks it down in Orlando and Tampa Bay. Lockouts or lock changes for home or business. Car key replacements and programming all model cars. 24-hour service. Call them at 855-869-5625. Go to the website at alennylocksmith.com.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. you can rely on essential moving experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. You're locked into the only platform truly dedicated to South Florida sports. This is the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show, live from WalkOns Sports Bistro in Kendall on the SportsTalk305 Network. Here's your hosts, Orlando Alzugaray and Mike McCoy.
We're back, baby, at beautiful WalkOns in Kendall. Come on out here and join us, man. 9065 Southwest, 162nd Street. Come on out here, man. Right off of Kendall Drive, okay? And Kendall Drive and the Turnpike, and then you just go west, and you go a couple minutes, about 10 minutes, and you're right here, and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to love it. By the way, if you're coming from the north and you're on the west side of the county, you're better off coming through Chrome, actually. That's how you come, right, Mikey?
That's how I came.
Yeah, because when I go to Craig Zinn's Acura Pembroke Pines, I just go through Chrome,
Right.
because I'm out west, actually. Yeah, this has been the luck of all things to go out there. What's the thumbs up for? Okay. Anyway, so anyway, this is the thumbs up. The lucky for me because this place is like a mile from my house.
Oh man,
seriously, dude. I've been ordering from this place since they opened, like a year and a half ago or whatever it is. Love the freaking.
No,
food.
listen, it's
when Al told me, "Hey, WalkOns," I go, "WalkOns? Like right by my house?" Like Kendall, he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Holy crap, dude! I come here all the damn time. I love this place." So, for me, you tried the mozzarella logs last week. I mean,
oh my God.
I mean,
Listen, when you said mozzarella logs, I'm thinking they can't be that big. And they are like croquetas on steroids.
Yeah.
That's what they are. They're huge.
Bro. They're enormous.
And they came out on the plate. I'm like,
so good.
Logs. Okay, I get it.
They're so good, bro. They're so good, man. They're so good. Seriously, if you come to WalkOns, now let me warn you, if you order the mozzarella logs, I don't know if you can eat it by yourself. That's not well, yeah. Well, Sean says challenge accepted. Well, Sean is different, okay? But I'm just telling you, they're enormous. So make sure it's like a couple of you that order the mozzarella. When they call them logs, there's a reason why they call them logs, okay? I mean, seriously, but it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. So we'll get David Wilson on with us from the Miami Herald. He'll be on with us in about 8 minutes. We'll have some fun with him, and we'll get going. Miami is favored by 7 in this game, Mikey. The over and under is 48. Vatek is plus 245 on the money line. Miami is minus 295 on the money line. That's a lot of points here. Although what I love in this game, and I gave it yesterday, is the over. But I took it yesterday at 46.5. It's up to 48 now.
Oh.
Yeah.
I hate when they do that, man.
But I love this game for the over.
Right.
You know what I mean? On Thursday night, I hit the over on that one because I thought it was going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of points. That's why I brought it up, Mikey, because I don't think I don't think Vatek is going to. I like Andy Bitter's score, by the way.
30-20.
Like 30-20, something like that. I think the Canes are going to score a little more than 30, actually.
Okay.
Because I think they're going to pick up a defensive or a special teams touchdown today. And then I think they're going to keep – they kind of showed us 2 weeks ago there were moments where they had the no huddle. And then I think that convinced Gaddis, and probably Cristobal, yo, we got to get him rolling. And then last week they just unleashed the Kraken, and they said, so imagine today if you start getting the running going. So then that opens all that stuff up. So I kind of feel that they're going to go 30-plus points today, actually. And then Vatek will get some points because Miami's defense is not great. And that big receiver that he just talked about, that dude's a pain in the ass.
Oh, for Vatek, yes,
Vatek.
Yes.
I forgot the guy's name, but he's a big mother, bro.
and he's going to be a pain in the ass to cover. I'm just saying, he's just one of those kind of dudes.
Do you remember when the Eagles and the Giants twice beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl? Do you remember how they got to Brady?
D-line, bro.
What was the D-line doing? Do you remember?
They got with their base pass rush. They
got there
blitz.
with 4 guys.
Right, yeah. They had 5 rushers, 4, and then they had a 5th guy that they would rotate in because they were so deep. And they were able to get after him. That's why they won those 2 Super Bowls, because the base defense. You know, that's been the problem with the Dolphins, by the way, on Sundays.
Right.
They can't get to the quarterback with their base. They have to send safeties and corners and linebackers to get there. So go ahead, your point.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Now you painted the picture.
Yeah.
So non-blitz pressure rate, FBS leaders. You want to know who's at the top of the pack?
Virginia Tech.
Miami.
Oh, okay.
Miami has gotten to the quarterback with 4 players 40.4% of the time.
Okay.
You want to know who's second? Ohio State, 36.5. They're ahead of the Bulldogs, the defending national champs, 34.7%.
Well,
34.7% of the time.
That was a factor last week.
Exactly. They were getting to the quarterback with 4.
Yeah.
That's why I think, yes, to your point, running game is important, because Miami got away from that last week. They were not a balanced offense. They stuck with what's working, and I get it. But I think this game is going to be won based on that, because if Miami can get ahead, I don't think Virginia Tech is equipped to come back when they're in a hole.
No.
So if Miami can get ahead, say 10-0 first quarter, I think it spells doom for Virginia Tech. And then you get to play the kind of offense that Miami wants to. Long drives. That's what they did against Texas A&M, even Bethune and Southern Miss. Miami held the ball for 11 minutes in the fourth quarter against Texas A&M, all right? And there's 15 minutes in a quarter. So if Miami gets ahead 2 scores, 17-0, 17-3, I think they'll get into – you won't have to play that tempo offense, and you could run and maul them. And by the third quarter, it's gonna be lights out. I think getting to Virginia Tech with 4 guys is huge today.
Caleb Smith is the name of the kid.
Yes.
He is 6'2", 222.
That's not a receiver. That's a specimen.
Yeah, he's a big body kid. He's 6'2" is not super tall, but when you're already 222, you're already filled in too at the same time.
Right.
So this is a big guy. He's got 25 receptions, 402 yards. He averages 16 yards a catch. He's the guy. He's the guy you got to worry about on this, because he's the guy that
have to have a big game.
He's just going to throw it. They're going to throw it to him. So he'll have some damage but as I was telling Andy, and as bad as the secondary has been, there were some signs of life last week. And it was nice to see, Mikey, because we're talking about a passing team in North Carolina and one of the better quarterbacks in college football, not the ACC, one of the best college quarterbacks out there. So I kind of like what I saw a little bit. I mean, listen, if we're going to rip them when they suck and they're giving up a whole bunch of plays, and they did early on in that game, they gave up a couple big plays too. But overall, I thought they started to show some signs of life. And today's the kind of game that you want to try to get good. You know, have a corner, have a safety roll over to Caleb, and then everybody else man up and try to make some plays.
For that to happen, these mental errors that happened, that I counted twice at least, both on big plays to Cam Kitchens, it's not going to happen. So during the Tuesday or might have been the Wednesday press conference, I forgot who it was that was at the podium that was talking about guys just need, it was James Williams. Guys need to just trust each other. They need to trust each other and stop trying to play hero ball, because that is what did them in on those 2 big plays last week. Yes, Cam Kitchens had an interception, and like you said, give credit when credit's due. That is the worst passing game, and not that it was terrible, but it was statistically the worst passing game that UNC had last all season. Forced Drake May to 2 interceptions. He entered the game with 1. And so if Miami can build off that, that's a sign of consistency. And that's what Miami needs right now. That's how you build a program. But again, getting to the quarterback with 4 and helping the defense that way you can drop back. You could confuse the offense that way. It's going to be huge.
I'm with you there. By the way, we are at WalkOns in Kendall, where we're going to be here every Canes game. So come on out here next week. Duke
It is Duke, right? I believe.
Yes.
Yes, 12. It's also 12:30. It's already been announced. So we'll be here at 10:30 to start off the pregame. And then obviously the game at 12:30. Sean loves the early starts. So do we. And again, we'll have all kinds of prizes and giveaways out here. Today, we're giving away a Perdomo cutter and lighter and a hat. We're giving away a $25 gift certificate. We're also giving away some WalkOns goodies out there. Is that a gift certificate? What's that called? That thing that keeps the drink? A coolie and a towel, right? So look at that. A gift certificate, a shirt. So a shirt, a coolie, and a gift certificate from Waka. So every quarter, we got 3 prizes that we're giving away. And next week, we're going to have taste testing from Edge Energy Drink. And we're also going to have, I'm told a beer company will be out here also. So yeah,
we can't have none of that?
Yeah, I mean, towards the end of the broadcast. Anyway, so we'll have some fun. I mean, we can have a couple. You just can't get drunk, but we can have a couple. But anyway, this is not regular radio anymore, bro. We run the show here, baby.
I hear you.
We're not tied down to the FCC or anything like that. So if you want to drink, you want to drink. Okay. I've been talking to Al to get us into a dispensary so we can just smoke the place up. Anyway, so no, seriously, we'll be out here at WalkOns in Kendall for every Canes game, all kinds of giveaways. We'll have some fun. Love to meet you, take pictures, whatever, hang out with you out here talking Canes. So we'll be out here for the pre and the post game show. Manny Navarro, by the way, will join us in the post game show. We'll also have Mario Cristobal's press conference too. So we'll carry all of that for you. Remember, tomorrow we're back on the platform at 11 a.m. getting you ready for Dolphins, okay? And hopefully they can get a win against the Vikings here at Hard Rock Stadium. So we'll get you ready for the Miami Dolphins and the Minnesota Vikings. And, of course, the news broke. For those of you that may just be tuning in and don't know, Tua Tagovailoa has cleared concussion protocol. So it looks like he's going to be ready for next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Something that we told you that was probably going to happen anyways almost 2 weeks ago. So there you go. That's good news. All right, let's bring him aboard. David Wilson does an exceptional job covering several sports for the Miami Herald. He is Mr. Versatility, baby, but he does cover the Canes a lot. You can follow him on Twitter like I and many others do at DB Wilson 2. David, how you doing this morning, my friend? You doing all right?
Yeah, pretty good. How about you guys?
Very good. Can't complain. David, today I called this a coach's game because there are no excuses. Your team better be ready. You've got the better talent. You need to win this game. You've got a 3-game losing streak. You need to go out there and get it done. There can't be, we weren't ready for this. We were surprised by this. This, that. This is the kind of game that you've got to show people that you can beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and this is one of them. And if you lose this game, I'm not saying, any indictment on the coaching staff or whatever, but it's going to be a terrible look for you overall as a staff, and that's something that you're going to have to explain. Would you agree or disagree with me on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of people. Well, first of all, I'll say the biggest issue I think Miami has had these last couple of 20 years is the constant churn of coaches, right? That lack of patience, a lot of times been warranted. I mean, we've seen a lot of coaches come in and not been good, but just that general lack of continuity, I think, contributes to a lot of the cultural issues. Like you said, got to be ready to play. Mario Cristobal is coaching guys who not just were recruited by his predecessor, but some of them were recruited by the guy who was here before Manny Diaz. Like they've got 3 different coaching staff players, but so you can talk about patience, all that, but eventually they got to win some games. And this is, on our podcast this week, the Eye on the U that I do with Susan Miller-Degnan every week, we talk about this is the stretch where it comes up 3 winnable games in a row here. I think some positive signs in that North Carolina game. A lot of Miami teams would have fallen apart after a loss to Middle Tennessee. They bounced back, played one of their best. You guys were talking about just now defended North Carolina as well as anyone has all year, especially if you throw out the one long touchdown, and got back to stuff that worked on offense. I think they're trending back in the right direction. Obviously, a loss to North Carolina in a game that probably shoulda, coulda won is not ideal, but they're trending back in the right direction when it could have gotten really dark after the Middle Tennessee game. But you got to now turn it into results. Like, no one cares that you looked okay last week if you then come out and lose to Virginia Tech this week.
David, thanks for joining us. I wanted to ask you how you took this comment by Coach Gaddis. I believe it was after the UNC game. He was talking about balance in the offensive passing game. I'm sorry, in the offensive play calling. He said we threw the ball way too much, and I think a lot of fans took that as, "What are you talking about?" or whatever. I don't think he meant that. I think that was taken out of context because even Mario wants to be balanced. How did you take that? What do you think he meant by that? And can you talk about how important Miami's balance is to the production of the offense?
Yeah, I saw. I was out of town over the weekend at a wedding, so I didn't get back until a couple of days into the week. But I saw obviously people freaking out about that quote on Twitter. I get what he means, and you can, the reason Miami wants to have this balance is because Mario Cristobal wants to have this balance, right? Mario Cristobal got to pick the offensive coordinator. He picked Josh Gaddis, who last year at Michigan. Obviously won the Broyles Award and did it by running the ball a ton. They got to get back to that. The strangest thing I think of these last couple games is the total disappearance of the run game, where they ran for more than 5 yards per carry against Texas A&M, and coming out of that game, Texas A&M, other than Clemson, probably the best front they're going to play all year. I think I was like, all right, they found their identity. It might not be sexy anymore, right? Tyler Van Dyke might not be in the Heisman race because they're going to pound the ball like that. And obviously the last two games, they've just totally lost it. They got to get back to that because that's what they want to do. But at the same time, you got to play to your strengths, and your best player is your quarterback. And, I'm kind of I'd say I'm more of a new school spread football guy in college football. I think it works. So, if it was up to me, you'd throw the ball 40 times in every game, kind of. But I get what the way, the path forward, what Miami wants to get to, their strengths down the road are going to be in the trenches, right? It's what Mario Cristobal recruits best. They want to start establishing that culture, but right now, like I said earlier, there's like 20 guys on this roster that Mario Cristobal recruited, right? Between the high school kids and the transfers they got in. Right now, they just don't have the personnel, I don't think, to pound the ball. But at the same time, you got to run for like 3 yards a carry at least, right? Like it's got to be better than it was, especially because they've been so bad in the red zone and in situational football. And you need to have that balance there. You become predictable.
For me, David, I got to say, I've been critical of Josh Gaddis because I thought quite frankly, I thought he did a piss poor job early on of understanding his talent. And he kind of square pegged it into a round hole. And he wanted to immediately become that power running team when that's not what they were from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And then, 2 games ago, he started to add the element of no huddle and speed things up for Van Dyke because obviously Tyler was not comfortable in all of that. And you didn't notice that in the offseason. You didn't notice it in practices, all those kind of things. And then now, obviously, you saw last week, they completely unleashed the Kraken, and the kid now is much more comfortable. I thought for me, Josh kind of slowed them down early on by not really defining what he had and catering the offense to what he had, which is what I like coaches to do. I don't like coaches to come in and say, this is my system and you're going to run it. No, well, dude, you didn't inherit the kind of players that are going to run your system. You better be a little bit more flexible. And to his credit, he's more flexible now. To the criticism, he wasn't flexible enough early on. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. And again, like I said, the strange thing is that it looked like they were going to have this power identity early in the year, and it disappeared against Middle Tennessee. Obviously disappeared against North Carolina. But yeah, I say it all the time. In Mario Cristobal's introductory press conference, he talked about one player. He named one specific player, and it was Tyler Van Dyke. Like, that's what this whole thing had to be built around. again, down the road, yes, Miami is ideally going to have the personnel to run this kind of offense that Josh Gaddis and Mario Cristobal want to run. But at the same time, like it'd be one thing if this was a total rebuilding year, right? And you just wanted to put your identity in, implement it, show the next recruiting classes, this is what we're going to do. You come to Miami, this is what it's going to look like. But, Miami came in, was a bowl team last year, was sneaky close to winning the Coastal Division. If a couple of things had broken differently, had this quarterback. This was not supposed to be a rebuilding year. This is supposed to be a team that's contends for the Coastal. Obviously a long way to go in that, but I think if they stick with what worked last year, elements of it, obviously it's going to be different. It's a different offensive coordinator. They should, they should theoretically block better. They got a much more creative run game than they did last year, even if it's not yielding great results right now. But you got to play to those strengths. I think I did a story the other day, just kind of breaking down the snap counts, and you see Brashard Smith, who plays the slot, his snap count jumped from like 30 to 75 from the Middle Tennessee game to the North Carolina game. He's obviously your slot guy. That's just an indication of the adjustments that they're making here in the middle of the season.
Mike?
So as you were talking, thanks for the info, talking about consistency and what Gaddis needs to do to cater to his strength. It's kind of hard to do that if you don't know who's going to be available. Availability is the best ability, right? And right now, looking at tweets from Adam Lichtenstein and Manny Navarro, Tyreek Stevenson seems to be in street clothes. Michael Redding seems to be in street clothes.
No Henry Parrish.
No Henry Parrish. So, I mean, like you said, we thought we found an identity offensively, at least after the A&M game or the Southern Miss game. But when you're missing guys like this, I mean, thank God Thad is back. So it seems to be like Thad is going to get a lot of carries today. Rooster needs to fix these fumbling problems. You got Lucius Stanley behind him. But in terms of passing the ball, which Miami was successful last week, no Redding. You expect Colby Young to get some reps, and maybe Brashard Smith is the other guy. And where's Melo been? He's the other guy. But, again, just too many questions, not enough answers from Miami's offense. So what I think you need to do is stick with what works at this point. Mallory was hot. He had a big drop last week. But maybe going into the game offensively, that's kind of where you need to lean. To me, the game is won defensively today. You get to the quarterback with 4, which Miami leads the nation at 40%, and make Virginia Tech play from behind, because I don't think you're going to be able to catch up if they're down 2 touchdowns in the second quarter.
Yeah, the defense has honestly been stranger to me to talk about than the offense, because if you throw out, and you can't just do this because these are like 4 of the worst defensive plays anyone's made all year, but those 5, there was one against Middle Tennessee that didn't go for a touchdown. If you throw out this play, this defense has kind of been awesome. But it's obviously now it's 2 games in a row where they have given up at least 1 long touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, I think this defense, there's a good defense, and I think there's a good offense sitting somewhere in this team. The offense, I think, has more question marks because of the wide receiver position and the fact that this team just seemingly can't adjust when teams load the box in the run game. But I think particularly in this defense, the cornerback play has been underwhelming, but I heard you guys talking about it before I came on. The ability they have to rush the passer with just 4 guys is really impressive. The depth they have up there is really good. And there's some stuff I think to like at linebacker, even if, Corey Flagg, his mistakes are ugly because he's not the greatest athlete and doesn't have the best size. But I think in the front 7, there's stuff to like. Obviously, the safeties are great. But yeah, I think if they can just, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point down the road here, they have a game where they could totally win a game with defense, because I think they've shown, they've played kind of like 3 quarters of a great game so far. It's just, There's always a handful of inexplicable disasters.
The other good part is they have in their back pocket, they played at Kyle Field at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, they're not going to be rattled by this atmosphere today at all.
Even though it's homecoming, that's kind of something.
Well, they're not drunk enough right now.
There you go.
It's true. It's true. It makes a difference.
Yeah, dude. If it's 7:30 in Blacksburg, then they're all sauced up. But it's only 12:30. They've only had 1 or 2 drinks, so
we think.
We think. David, and by the way, we're talking with David Wilson, Miami Herald writer, covers the Canes and many other things too. Follow him on Twitter like I do at DBWilson2. David, do you think that the secondary, as bad as it's been, Did it start showing some signs of life for you in the second half against North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can hold that offense to, 6 points in the second half, 27 points is the fewest they've scored all year. Like I said, I love the safeties. I mean, James Williams obviously gets all the attention for good reason. He is a freak, there's really not another way to say it. But Cam Kinchins is, for a sophomore, he is, and you can see it last year as a freshman, he's football IQ is just really advanced. Obviously 3 interceptions so far this year. Not having Tyreek that's a blow. That's obviously your number one corner, your best guy. I think the cornerback, first of all, cornerback's really hard to play in college football. You're going to get burned. So obviously Miami's gotten burned too often. But yeah, I think the way that those safeties can just kind of mess shit up, and the way that I think the cornerback play is inconsistent, but there's tools there with all those guys. And then, as you guys talked about, it's all about really defending the pass starts up front. And if this team can get pressure on the quarterback, then that changes everything. But I mean, like I said, you throw out those plays and you expect, those are defensive backs' fault, so it's hard to just throw it out. But other than that, this team's kind of been rock solid defensively.
All right, David, what's the prediction? What do you got going on today? Who do you think wins and why?
I think Miami wins. I think Tyler Van Dyke has another, not 500 yards big, but another big game. I think he's back pretty close to what we saw last year, where 300 yards was kind of the expectation for him on a week-to-week basis. And I think the defense, I guess we got to bank on them giving up one terrible touchdown, but otherwise I think, this Virginia Tech team's not very good. They're a first-year coach too. They're having their own growing pains. And I think the fact that Miami played really well defensively in the second half gives me confidence in them. Now, the problem for Miami for decades and decades now has been the inability to sustain things from week to week. You think you figure something out, and the next week it's a weakness. But I think Mario Cristobal is, in terms of getting teams ready and, in the midweek game planning, I think is a little bit stronger coach than some of the guys they've had recently. Obviously, we're still waiting to see it for sure. This will be a good test, though, I think. But I think I like Miami in this because I think they figured a lot out in that North Carolina game. Just got to score in the red zone.
I took yes. I took him.
Let your quarterback throw it there. He's your best player. Put it in his hands.
Yes, exactly. I took him over 46.5 total here. You like that? Yesterday, that was one of my picks. You like this game over 46.5?
Yeah, I think so. I think Miami, I'd be surprised, after they go for 20, they scored 24 last week. I'd be surprised if they don't go over 30, pretty much, as long as they look kind of similar to they did last week, right? If your quarterback throws for 500 yards, it's kind of shocking you only scored 24 points. So I think if they do that, and like I said, they're going to, based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks, they're going to bust at least once on defense. I think last week we all thought it was going to be a shootout, and it wasn't. So maybe we're way off here, but I think they figured a lot out on both sides of the ball last week. But you got to turn it into wins.
It's funny because 20 years ago, I would ask a writer about a gambling question, and they would no, they wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Nowadays everything has changed, dude. Yep. It's amazing.
College players are getting paid.
Yeah. It's just it's all changed. David, what are you working on over at the Herald, man? So folks can follow you and check you out, my friend.
I'm kind of all over the place like usual, especially this time of year. Hockey's back, so I've been on the Panthers beat a little bit. Was up in New York for their opener this week. So, it's that.
Kachuk is the real deal.
He lived up to the hype and then some, I thought, in that game. We'll see. They play at the same time as the Canes today, so I probably won't watch much of it. But, I thought their opener looked kind of better than I expected, too. And I had pretty high hopes for them, too.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot. They got an alpha in the locker room finally.
Yeah, and it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see that dynamic, because Barkov he's obviously the captain. Everyone loves him, but he's such a different personality than Matthew Kachuk.
Right. He's not the personality that's going to get in the way of Kachuk.
Right. Exactly. It seems like they can coexist pretty well.
Exactly, because it's not his personality to be that guy that rattles cages and things like that. So I think he's going to love that,
because he kind of wants to be the under the radar superstar, whereas Kachuk wants to be the out in the front superstar. So I think that dynamic is perfect. Sadly, Hubie was a terrific player, but he had the same personality.
He and Barkov were very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I loved it as we were walking out of the locker room after that game on Thursday. They always take the picture with the puck, like for a milestone, and Kachuk was getting ready to do his for his first goal, and he was like, "Get Barkov in here! Like, I got to have the captain in here." So he still kind of defers and respects what they accomplished beforehand.
Yeah, it's like Butler and Bam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot like that. All right. Hey, David, thank you as always, my brother. And you do excellent work covering everything that you do. And by the way, tell them about the UM podcast. When does it drop every week? So
you can check out Eye on the U podcast. Just subscribe in the Herald Sports feed. We've got shows every day on all the different sports, plus the Greg Cody show every Monday. UM podcast drops every Friday to recap the week of news and preview the Saturday game coming up. So check it out.
We are platform friendly here. David, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, my
Talk
friend.
to you guys later.
You got it. There you go. David Wilson, man, from the Miami Herald.
You want to know what, it's just weird with these Hurricanes. I don't know if it's a college football thing, and it may very well be because college football is unpredictable, but I think it was you alluded to, throwing for 500-something yards, and then he was like, well, when you throw for that, you're supposed to win the game. That's happened twice this year from Miami. Yeah. 27 first downs against Texas A&M, no touchdowns.
That's what we kept talking about. You can't be great between the 20s. You got to finish it off, dude. And that was the problem in that game.
27 first downs and no touchdowns. You throw for 497 with TVD, don't win the game. It's just – that's what I'm saying. I don't know what to expect. Yes, 30-20, Bitter, that's what his prediction was, but – it's just Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with this team.
Yeah.
You're expecting, okay, you had a nice second half defensively. It should continue trending, but you're going to Virginia Tech, a game you should win. You're going to Middle Tennessee State, a game you should win. Southern Miss, a game you should dominate. And it was the opposite. So I don't know. Don't ask me for a prediction, please.
Okay. All right. But let's give you some of the news. Tyreek Stevenson is in street clothes, not playing. Keyshawn Smith is dressed in drills. No Zion Williamson, no Justice Oluwasum. Did I pronounce it right?
Oluwashon.
What?
Oluwashon.
Oluwashon. Okay. So and
John
and
Nelson.
Huh?
You're thinking basketball.
Zion Williams.
Nelson.
Zion Nelson. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I'm thinking of the other guy. I'm thinking. See, I'm a fat guy. I think food. I think Williamson. It's just us fat guys. We got to stick together. And by the way, Adam Lichtenstein, who does an excellent job for the Sun Sentinel, is reporting that he thinks Inez Cooper will be the guy you'll see for Justice.
Mario loves him.
Okay. No linebacker in Wayman Steed Jr. He is not on the field. Ja'Kai Clark is back.
That's huge.
That makes you happy. Michael Redding is also playing. Henry Parrish not on the field. It looks like Knighton is starting over Thaddeus.
That's interesting. We'll see. I mean, look, I trust the coaches, man.
Well, but if you're gonna pass on these dudes, then wouldn't you start with Knighton? You understand
yes,
what I'm
he
saying?
can do it all, but listen.
And then you bring the other kid in to pound the crap out of you.
I don't like rewarding guys that were huge in a loss. And that fumble last week by Knighton after you got the first down, that was huge.
Yeah.
He had two big fumbles in consecutive weeks.
One thing he's proven so far as a coach, he doesn't give up on you right away. Because he didn't give up on Van Dyke when and I'm glad he didn't, because it wasn't Van Dyke. It was just that the whole new system, and then your receivers suck, and they're running the wrong routes or dropping balls and left and right. And so it just doesn't help your quarterback in that sense. So I'm glad he stuck with him. So I think there's a little bit of that too with the Rooster, that, okay, you fumbled, but you know what, kid, you're going to get a couple breaks here. And then, and then it's up to you now to kind of continue, and we'll see.
I'm a fan of showing confidence in you guys, and I love that. I love Mario for that. But we haven't seen enough of Rooster to know what he can give you as a starter.
Practice, classroom. There must be.
he must
It's got to be something.
Right. He must be showing something else. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're screwing up on the field a couple times, but then you're also screwing up behind the scenes, then I think that's where you get knocked down a couple pegs. But if you're busting your ass, you're doing all the right things. You know, it's kind of, you know, like my wife has told me in the past, like there's the student that doesn't give a shit, and you know the student doesn't give a shit. So then why are you going to give a shit eventually?
It's true.
But then there's the student that struggles but gives a shit. And then that's the student you want to help and try to get over the hump. The one that's not going to do their homework and barely show up in class and doesn't care and is drawing and eating crap, you're never going to reach that kid.
Yeah.
But the kid that's actually trying and struggling and depressed that they got the D or the C or the F or whatever, what can I do? Can I get extra credit or what? They're not waiting till the end of the semester that they know they've got a bad grade and they say, "Oh, what can I do to?" No. You know that so there's a difference.
Yeah.
And I would imagine in coaching, it's the same thing. And leadership should be the same thing. If somebody's trying, you got to give them a break. You know what I mean? Now, if it becomes habitual, then that's when. And so I guess we're still in the early stages that it can't be labeled habitual yet with the Rooster.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And he must be healthy because remember, he had a lingering hamstring. And for a guy that is the type of runner that he is, that is a big deal. So he's got to be healthy enough to at least get starter snaps. So we're looking forward to that because we saw how much the offense changed last year once he was back from his 4-game suspension. You saw it against UNC. The offense completely changed. It was way more wide open. Obviously Temple helped with that, but still going from, I forgot who the running back was last year before Rooster was back full time. But you saw the instant change in the offense, and it was night and day. It was more explosive. So, yes, they should be getting a lot out of that position in the passing game today. We'll see.
Darryl Porter Jr. running with the first team. DJ Ivey will be the other corner. That's some of the stuff coming out also from practice, from preparations as they get ready for the start of this game at 12:30. Remember, we're out here at WalkOns in Kendall as we are broadcasting our Edge Energy Drink Miami Dolphins pregame show live from WalkOns in Kendall, and we'll be out here for every single Canes game. So come on out here and join us. We'll have a bunch of giveaways also. We'll be giving away Perdomo cigar cutter and lighter and a hat, not cigars. That's illegal. You can't do that, okay? I called the guys at Perdomo. Okay, so what can we give away? Can we give away cigars? He goes, what, you want us to go to jail? And I go, no, what? What? He goes, you can't give away cigars. And I go, you can't? And he goes, no, it's illegal.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Did I?
I didn't know that.
I found out. But we got cigar cutters and lighters for you and all that. Okay. Hey, man.
Whatever works.
That's even better. You can go get a cigar, but you get a cigar cutter and a lighter, bro. That's badass. And it's beautiful, by the way, the cigar cutter and lighter from Perdomo Cigars. And we're giving away $25 gift certificates from Caneswear. And we're giving away a gift certificate, a shirt, and a coolie from WalkOns also. So every quarter, we're giving away 3 prizes. And all you got to do is come on out here, hang out, eat, drink, have some fun with friends and family members out here. And the servers will give you a raffle ticket. And I'll be calling those numbers out at the end of every single quarter. Although in the fourth quarter, I'm going to do it in the 2-minute warning.
Good idea.
So I'm ready for the postgame show.
Good idea.
Got to do it. We got to do what we got to do. You know? I didn't bring overtime prizes.
I don't know if either of these guys
I'm just, yeah. May have to, if it's overtime, then we have to stretch out the fourth quarter prize to overtime.
Maybe we give away 2 in the fourth.
Right, yeah, exactly. We'll give one thing away in the fourth quarter, then we'll save the other ones for the overtime. Although that's the game we just talked about at the beginning of this show that I would be a little disappointed at, that if you had to go to overtime with these guys, that's not good, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I don't want that. Are we expecting Kobe Young to become a bigger factor in this game today, my friend?
They have to. Listen, so Coach Cristobal kind of alluded to it, but Gaddis confirmed it. He said we're going to see some new faces and new roles for guys that have been playing. Khalil Brantley was on the field a lot. He was more in short yardage in the goal line, but that is a do-it-all Swiss Army knife kind of tight end. I don't know if you guys remember Chris Herndon, number 23, who went on to play for the Jets a couple of years ago. He was the tight end after David Njoku. That's who I like in Khalil Brantley, too. He's a smaller-ish tight end, more like an H-back, but he could do it all, and that's a Miami guy. That's a guy that Miami Northwestern Senior High School has some speed. Number 18 at the tight end position, or H-back, whatever you want to call it. So, like I said, Gaddis specifically said there's going to be new roles for guys that we've seen, and we're going to see some guys that you probably haven't seen. So, absolutely, yes, Colby Young should definitely, number 88 transfer, guy that caught the touchdown last week in the fourth quarter. That's a big body receiver. So, expect him to see a lot of snaps.
I'm with you there. And by the way, great stat last week. 5 different receivers with 50-plus yards.
That's what happens when you throw for 497.
Yeah, but you're spreading it around, too. So I like that, too, that you're able to get it around. Will Mallory, so far 20 catches, 242 yards on the season, was big last week. I would imagine that Will Mallory is going to continue to get a bigger and bigger role here, along with guys like Colby Young.
That is a guy that I have been enamored with since he's come here, because of it's all based on potential that he hasn't really reached, but it's still something that when you talk about a guy that came in 3rd place in his state championship high school meet in the 110-meter hurdles, and at that time he was weighing maybe 220 pounds, that's a weapon. You know, he's just had a case of the dropsies and a little bit of inconsistency. He had a great game last week, which would have been greater if he didn't have a key drop. I believe it was on 3rd downs. But still, you got to keep throwing to him. He's a weapon, and as long as his head is in the game, we know he's not the best pass blocker, maybe not even a run blocker, but still that's something that you can't look over in terms of him catching the ball.
I'm with you there. All right. Let's see what else. Also, Frank, you talked a little bit about the receivers. Frank Ladson is a guy that, along with Colby, I think Ladson is another one of those guys that's starting to, has started already, really, to kind of show that he needs to also be maybe one of the main guys for Tyler Van Dyke.
He has to be, especially in the red zone. Why are we harping on the red zone so much? Obviously, because of the struggles. However, Frank Ladson is a guy.
Why have you been harping on the red zone so much?
Yeah, I mean,
he's been on it for weeks, bro.
Miami's probably 5-0 if they score one more touchdown a game, minus Middle Tennessee State. That's like the only team that has
But the
beaten
fade
Miami.
pattern is something you've talked about.
Thank you. And that's where you're headed. And look, the touchdown last week was on a fade. Get it. It was right at the 20, but still a red zone touchdown. But when you're inside the 5-yard line, inside the 10-yard line, Mallory, that's a guy that could catch a fade. Ladson, that's a guy that can catch a fade. Colby Young is a guy that catch a fade. And I say this every time I bring it up. You don't need to be 6'2", 6'3" to line up for a fade. You can be Braxton Berrios. You can be Rashard Smith. It's just win the 50-50 ball. Redding is great at doing that as well. These are guys that could, you high point the ball and they're athletic. You're a Miami receiver for a reason, right? You're recruited highly out of IMG Academy and wherever the hell else you came from for a reason, right? Prove it. We need more fades. Please throw me more fades, guys. Stop with and I get it. I formation, old school football. They lined up in that last week and they couldn't win. They couldn't win at the point of attack, which is very discouraging. So we need to see some more creativity. We need to see something else. To me, it's as simple as a fade. Just throw it up there at least once when you're inside the 10. And look what happened when you did it last week.
And by the way, it looks like it's official. They'll be without Henry Parrish, Tyreek Stevenson, Wayman Steed, Michael Redding. All will be absent for this game against Va-Tech.
So defensively, no Steed. You got to look at the other linebackers going to, take his place. We'll see how much because Steed plays the weak side. So Flag is probably going to be starting. I'm wondering if Basaint takes those snaps. We've got to see how much Chase Smith. That's a guy, number 41. Wiry, long-armed guy, speed for days. dying to see him. He's been playing on special teams, but not so much getting snaps as much as I'd like to see him on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll see how much James Williams comes down into the box and plays linebacker exclusively, and maybe that'll open up some snaps for Tay Williams at the safety position. But not a bad situation for Miami with Steve not playing.
Miami has just averaged 102 yards on the ground in the last couple of games against UNC and Middle Tennessee State. This cannot happen today. The defense for the Hokies, you got to be able to run the ball against these guys today, dude. You got to do better than that. And I think what I want to do, why I want to see you run the ball also, it protects your quarterback, dude. So if you're going to put him back there to throw 50 times, you're putting him at risk to take some shots, Mike. So please run the ball today. Have more success than what you've had. I know your strength is still going to be passing, but I think that offensive line, which has done a really nice job of pass protection, has got to now start to take that next step in this game on running the ball and shoving it down their throats.
Again, everything is setting up from last week. Even though Miami lost the game, there are certain things that you want to see built on. And yes, Jonathan Dennis, we saw some of him last week. We saw a lot of Logan Sagapolo because Ja'Kai Clark went out. He is playing, but Justin Oliverstone will not. So we'll see what's going to happen. But still, this is still a team that wants to run the ball first. Mario Cristobal made that known, especially with the hire of Josh Gaddis. So it has to happen, like you said, to protect not only TVD, but you cannot be a one-dimensional offense and expect to win the Coastal, win the ACC, because if you're not balanced and you're predictable, you're just going to be a sitting duck offensively. You're going to know what's coming. Teams are going to rush 3 and drop 8. And if you can't run the ball, I mean, they're going to dare you to run it against 3 guys. So, yes, like you said, yes, no Henry Parrish, but Thad Rooster is starting. There's still some weapons back there. And if you can't run the ball against this Virginia Tech team and you continue to be predictable and one-sided and pass-happy offensively, then, yeah, you win the game, but how many of those games you're going to win when you don't play teams that are as deficient as Virginia Tech? FSU looks good, as much as I threw up in my mouth just saying that right now. But listen, these games are going to get harder for Miami. There's going to be more tape against the ACC opponents that's coming down the pike, and if they see that, it's going to be easy pickings.
All right, Doggy, what do you got in this game?
I just tweeted 27-17, but I did it grudgingly because, like I said, I don't know what to expect. We think that the running game is going to have an easy time. We think that the secondary took a next step, having played 2 pass-happy teams in Middle Tennessee State, which lit up the scoreboard, UNC, and maybe the best quarterback in college football. So you're expecting these things, right? But in typical Miami fashion, they'll probably let us down. I'm going 27-17 on the basis of the defense getting ahead and staying ahead. I hope Miami doesn't play from behind today. That's a key for victory as well.
Somebody says I should give away the alarmo on the mic during the overtime if it happens. Oof. I do have a new alarmo at home still. Yeah. But it's a backup, actually, just in case something happens to this. It's really what it is. That is funny. 1-800-ALARM-ME, by the way. 14 different states for those of you out there if you want to get a little edge. Get your edge by getting, of course, your alarm from the edge and security. That's what it's all about, baby. And myedgedrink.com, delicious, smooth, and zero aftertaste. Looking forward to next week. We should have the taste testing out here. Lovely lady, all that good stuff. And so we'll have all the prizes. We'll have all kinds of giveaways. And we'll have the Edge Energy Drink taste testing going on out here also next week. Huh?
Need a prediction.
I am. I'm going to give a prediction in just a second.
I'm ahead of you. I'm sorry. And Sean, too.
Sean, what do you got for predictions? 37-10. So he's got it 37-10. He's got me losing the under. No, I got it at 46.5.
46,
just there.
Yeah.
Just there. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the over on that one. Because it's up to 48 now. I took it at 46.5 yesterday. You know what? And I still take it at 48. We're going to go over 50 points today. Okay? Over 50 points. Canes are going to score 30 plus. I think they're going to score 36, and I'm going to give the Hokies 19.
19? Okay. Under 20.
36-19. Okay?
I'll take that.
Yeah, of course you'll take it.
I'll take that.
You're not going to take 19 to 36.
No, yeah.
I just to 19.
I want Miami to hit 30. I just don't know.
And everybody, by the way, in the chat board, give us your predictions for today's game. What's going to happen for today's game? Remember, tomorrow we'll be back right after the game ends. The second the game goes to 0, we pop on. So you can come on over to us. Manny Navarro will join us straight from Blacksburg. So he'll give us the latest there. We'll get Mario Cristobal's post-game press conference, and we'll have some fun out here, man, at onside. I was going to say walk-ons. Onside. Walk-ons. So yeah, at walk-ons here in Kendall.
You were offsides there,
Yeah, I was big-time offsides. We got to thank Gabby Uriuta for joining us, Andy Bitter, Vatek writer for The Athletic, David Wilson, writer for the Miami Herald. And by the way, Gabby, you can follow him on Twitter at Gabby Uriuta 247. And remember, Gabby is on every pregame with us, giving us the latest, and also on Tuesday nights on the Miami Hurricanes Watch, which is at 8 o'clock from 8 to 9 p.m. with Mike McCoy. Remember, Tuesday nights from 7 to 9, we do the State of Florida Gridiron Roundtable, and it's myself, Manny Navarro, Ira Schofel from War Chant, and Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. Soon to add UCF, right? We may have to add UCF very soon to the Gridiron Roundtable. I got to tell you. Yeah, we'll take out FSU. There you go. Al's hurting right there with that one. Anyway, so make sure 7 to 9 you catch our college football coverage on the platform here. All right, we're going to break it right here. We're going to wrap it up here. We thank everybody for joining us. We thank Sean Stanley, as always, mastering everything on this platform. We'll be back for the post-game show live from Walk-Ons in Kendall. Come on out here and join us, man. Y'all have a good one. Go Canes.
This has been the Edge Energy Drink Miami Hurricanes pregame show, live from Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall on the Sports Talk 305 Network. The show is mastered by Sean Stanley and Chad Shobe. Visit Walk-On Sports Bistro in Kendall at 9065 Southwest 162nd Avenue. Enjoy Walk-On's authentic and mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine prepared fresh from scratch. Closes daily at midnight, 7 days a week. Please subscribe to our platform by searching Big O Radio Show on all digital avenues. We'll be back with a complete wrap-up of the game once the last second ticks off the clock. Thank you for your support and enjoy Hurricanes football.